UFC Fight Night, Krylov versus Spann is this weekend, and I'm going to give you a full card prediction and breakdown from the early prelim to the main event. I guess there's like 13 fights on this card. It's going to be a lot better than last week's card, so I'm super excited about it. Let's get right into the matchups. We have Jose Johnson versus Garrett Armfield. Johnson, 15-7, 27 years of age, 74 inches of reach. Armfield, 8-3, 26 years of age, and 70 inches of reach. Jose Johnson will have a 4-inch reach advantage in this matchup. I am going to go with Jose Johnson in this one. He was on the Contender Series, fought Jack Cartwright, surprisingly won that one. Jack Cartwright was a pretty good prospect coming into the Contender Series, so he did a really good job, especially at Jack Cartwright's own game. He took him to the ground and was actually doing pretty well against Jack Cartwright on the ground also. He was able to outstrike him and everything like that. For Garrett Armfield, he made his debut against David Onama, was out-grappled by Onama on short notice, I believe. Didn't look too impressive there. I think Jose Johnson will be able to out-grapple him, and I think he'll be able to outstrike him on the feet. So I'm going to go Jose Johnson by a decision in this one. Up the card, we have Hailey Cowen versus Ailin. Perez, I believe is how you say it. Cowen, 7-2, 31 years of age, 69 inches of reach. Perez, 7-2, 28 years of age, and 66 inches of reach. Cowen will have a 3-inch reach advantage. I'm not too sure who to go with in this matchup. For this one, Ailin Perez made her debut against Stephanie Egger, got submitted there. She does have some decent grappling. She does train at MMA Masters, so you kind of expect that at least. She is a little bit more knowledgeable. I would say she's a little bit more knowledgeable in grappling than Hailey Cowen. But she was able to try and get takedowns, but I think Stephanie Egger really had her in bad spots with the Wizard. Perez had like no answer for that. She'd go in for a takedown and Stephanie Egger would just flip her into a Wizard. So she had no answer to that. And Hailey Cowen's debut on the Contender Series against Claudia Leite, I don't know, won by split decision. She kind of used the Wizard there, but it seems like whenever she got Leite down, she didn't know what she was doing. For her matchups, I believe her losses were by submission. So I don't know necessarily who to go with in this one. I want to say Ailin Perez is going to be more knowledgeable on the ground, but I do think Hailey Cohen is going to be able to outstrike her on the feet. And I do think that she, like when it gets to the ground, what I'm worried about with Cohen is that I don't know if she's going to be able to know what to do like Ailin Perez is, which I'm a little bit worried about. Like it's not a Stephanie Egger situation. So I think I'll go with Hailey Cohen, I guess. I'm not too comfortable with this matchup, so I'm going to go with Hailey Cohen. But I'm not confident in it. It's a women's MMA match. We'll probably good idea to maybe bet the over on this one. I'm not too sure. This one's kind of a mess of a match. So let's move on. Up the card, we have Nurullo Aliev versus Rafael Alves. Sorry, I couldn't say that name. Aliev, 8-0, 23 years of age and 72 inches of reach. Alves, 20-11, 32 years of age and 68 inches of reach. Aliev will have a 4-inch reach advantage. This matchup is going to be super interesting because Alves is actually a pretty good fighter. He did really well against Drew Dober. Was kind of like styling on him a little bit early on in the fight, kind of gassed out eventually and then got TKO'd, but did pretty well against Mark Dikaji. Ended up submitting him after hurting Mark Dikaji. Did actually pretty decently against Demir Ismagulov. Actually hurt him earlier on in that matchup. My goodness. And then beat Alejandro Flores on the Contender Series. But Nurullo Aliev did absolutely dominate Josh Wick in their matchup. Looked super impressive there. Was able to just take him down and just absolutely ground and pound him on the ground. So this is going to be a little tougher test for Nurullo Aliev in this matchup. I think Rafael Alves early on, I think he's going to be super explosive and super fast like he normally is. He normally has kind of like that one round in him. He goes pretty crazy and then starts to tire out a little bit. He's just a very explosive fighter, but is super skilled in all actuality. So I think Alves will look a lot like the Demir Ismagulov fight. I think Alves will kind of stumble Aliev a little bit. I think he'll rush in. I think Aliev will get the takedown, eventually get into his guard and just ground and pound him a little bit. I think maybe he does eventually get a TKO finish in the second round or something like that after Alves kind of tires him out trying to get up from bottom and things like that. But I'm going to go Aliev by a TKO ground and pound finish. Late second round is what I say it's going to be. So this should be a very fun fight. I'm super excited for it. Nurullo Aliev, he does kind of look like Khabib a little bit. I noticed that while watching his matchup on the Contender Series, but he does look kind of like Khabib, really oddly. So yeah, that's what I have for that one. Up the card, we have Joe Solecki versus Carl Deaton III. Joe Solecki, 12-3, 29 years of age, 70.5 inches of reach. Deaton, 17-5, 33 years of age and 67 inches of reach. Joe Solecki will have a 3.5 inch reach advantage in this one. I am going to go with Joe Solecki. I think Carl Deaton coming on off a short notice fight. Same thing, I guess, with Joe Solecki here, but I guess they're both on short notice because Joe Solecki was supposed to fight Benoit Saint Denis, I believe, a week before. So in this last card, he was supposed to fight Benoit Saint Denis. Saint Denis had to pull out. So now he's fighting Carl Deaton, and I think he's going to be able to beat Carl Deaton. I think just has better grappling and wrestling, so I think he's just going to be able to take out Carl Deaton that way. So that's what I have for this one. Probably Joe Solecki by a decision. I just think he'll just be able to beat him on the ground. Up the card, we have Ode Osbourne versus Charles Johnson. Osbourne 11-5, 31 years of age and 72 inches of reach. Johnson 13-3, 32 years of age and 70 inches of reach. Osbourne will have a 2-inch reach advantage in this one. I am going to go with Charles Johnson, and for some reason last night I was having a hard time figuring out who I wanted to choose for this matchup. But Ode Osbourne coming off a pretty bad KO loss against Tyson Nam was kind of funny. When I rewatched it, I couldn't stop laughing. He like jumped for a flying knee and just got like hit with the right hook and got absolutely folded. For Charles Johnson, coming off a win against Jimmy Flick 1 month ago, so he's coming here not necessarily on short notice, but he's very active. Then 2 months before that, won a split decision against Zaglas Zumagulov. I thought he lost that fight, and then he lost to Muhammad Makayev. Looked good in there though. Did a really good job against a guy like Muhammad Makayev. So, and then beat Carlos Mota. I believe he's not even in the UFC anymore because I think he got popped with roids or something. But yeah, Charles Johnson has looked good. He trains at Tiger Muay Thai, so he definitely has a good. He definitely has very good stand up. He has very good Muay Thai. So I think he's going to be able to hang in with Ode Osbourne on the feet. I think he's going to be able to mix in the takedown too. So I'm going to go Charles Johnson by... I'll go Charles Johnson by decision. I think all of Ode Osbourne's losses have been by finish. So Tyson Nam by right hook. Manel Cap by flying knee. Ryan Kellner by guillotine choke. And then even on the regionals, he lost by knee bar. His only loss was by a unanimous decision. So there's only one loss by decision. So he's I don't know if Charles Johnson can finish him. Maybe he can, but I'm going to go Charles Johnson by decision in this one. So up the card, we have Jordan Leavitt versus Victor Martinez. Leavitt 10-2, 27 years of age, 71 inches of reach. Martinez 13-4, 31 years of age and 70 inches of reach. Leavitt will have a 1-inch reach advantage. I am going to... What the hell is this ad? I am going to go with Jordan Leavitt in this one. I think he's just going to be able to out-wrestle and grapple Victor Martinez. I haven't been super impressed with Victor Martinez. His last fight was a year and 4 months ago. He won a decision against Jacob Rosales, who doesn't bat himself. But Jordan Leavitt coming off a loss to Paddy Pimblett, winning against Trey Ogden, which isn't bad, split decision there. Won against Matt Sales, lost to Claudio Puelles, who looked absolutely horrible in his last matchup, and then won against Matt Wyman by KO. So I'm going to go Jordan Leavitt. I just think he's going to be able to out-grapple and out-wrestle him. I haven't seen too much from Victor Martinez that has awed me, at least where I can think he can beat Jordan Leavitt. So I'm just going to go Jordan Leavitt by decision in this matchup. Up the card, we have Gabriella Fernandes versus Jasmine Jasudavicius. I think I said that correct. Fernandes 8-1, 29 years of age and 67.5 inches of reach. Jasudavicius 7-2, 33 years of age, 68 inches of reach. She will have a half-inch reach advantage over Fernandes. I am going to go with Fernandes. I think it's just one of those women's MMA matches, I guess. I'm just going to go Gabriella Fernandes by decision, 29-28. I think her last couple fights, she's won by submission. I think she can figure it out on the ground. Jasmine Jasudavicius lost her last fight to Natalia Silva, coming off of like 3 years off, I believe. I may be incorrect about that, but I think Natalia Silva came back after like a 3-year layoff or something long like that, or a 2-year layoff. Sorry, but yeah. So I'm gonna go Gabrielle Fernandez. It's just one of those matchups. I'm just gonna side with the favorite here. It is 73-27, so it's a little bit closer for a Tapology pick 'em, but yeah, I'm gonna go Gabrielle Fernandez. I guess I can kind of evaluate both of these ladies in this matchup, but until then, I'll just take the slight favorite in this one. I think Fernandes is actually a pretty solid women's fighter. Up the card, we have Erick Gonzalez versus Trevor Peek. Gonzalez, 14-7, 31 years of age, 75 inches of reach. Peek, 7-0, 28 years of age and 70 inches of reach. Gonzalez will have a 5-inch reach advantage in this one. I am going to go with Trevor Peek. I did have to think about this one for a little bit. Erick Gonzalez, although did lose to Jim Miller and did lose to Terrence McKinney, he did land a nice shot on Terrence McKinney, I guess. The fight was pretty short, but he had Terrence McKinney stumbling back for a second. Then got KO'd like brutally by Jim Miller. He did do well in that first round, but for Trevor Peek on the Dana White Contender Series fight, he was actually losing for the majority of that first round. He got hurt and then was pretty much getting ground and pounded on, and then figured it out in the second round, I believe, and then won that fight. So he's extremely tough. I am kind of rooting for Trevor Peek. I hope he goes like decently far, but he's a super tough guy. I think he's going to be able to endure some of Erick Gonzalez's power and some of the shots he's going to land on Trevor Peek. And I think he's going to be able to figure it out. Trevor Peek by finish, I think maybe KO or TKO in like the second round is where I'll say Trevor Peek will finish Erick Gonzalez here. I think Erick Gonzalez definitely has the power, but I think Trevor Peek can figure it out. He's just extremely tough. I think he's just going to out-tough him in this matchup. So Trevor Peek by second round TKO. Up the card, we have Mike Malott versus Yohan Lainesse. Malott 8-1, 31 years of age, 73 inches of reach. Lainesse 9-1, 30 years of age and 76 inches of reach. Lainesse will have a 3-inch reach advantage in this matchup. I am going to go with Mike Malott. I did have to think about this one also. This is actually a solid card with some decent fighters on it, so I'm actually happy about it. But for Yohan Lainesse, I believe he lost his last fight against Darian Weeks. I don't think he won that one. Lost to Gabe Green by KO. The thing with Yohan Lainesse is he doesn't really have good cardio at all, so I expect, I guess in that Darian Weeks fight, he did kind of like try to balance himself out between rounds, but I still think he lost that fight. And I think Mike Malott can figure it out, kind of mix it in a little bit. He's pretty well-rounded, won by submission on the Contender Series against Shimon Smitrowski, and then won against Mickey Gall by KO. Absolute brutal KO, by the way. He found the chin perfectly. So he does have good striking, good rest, not good rest. Well, he has good grappling, but I think he can find a way to take out Lainesse in this one, maybe by like a third round finish in this one. If he doesn't, I think he still wins by a decision. Yohan Lainesse does have good power, but I think the cardio is just not there to fight a guy like Mike Malott. I think he's going to be able to mix it in on him. So I'm going to go Mike Malott by decision, maybe 29-28, or maybe he finds a finish in that third round, but I'm going to go with Mike Malott in this one. Up the card, we have Tatiana Suarez versus Montana De La Rosa. We have Suarez 8-0, 32 years of age, 66 inches of reach. Rosa 12-7, 28 years of age and 68 inches of reach. Rosa will have a 2-inch reach advantage. I am going to go with Tatiana Suarez. She is coming off a 4-year layoff. I believe she was injured. But, man, before she was gone, has wins over Carla Esparza by KO. I think she's like the #1 ranked strawweight right now. I don't know how you guys feel about Carla Esparza being the #1 ranked strawweight, but she submitted Alexa Grasso. She's fighting for the title against Valentina Shevchenko. I believe the #5 ranked was that flyweight fighter, and then beat Viviana Piera, beat Nina Nunes. So she has some pretty good wins. Montana De La Rosa lost to Macy Barber, lost to Viviani Araújo. So while Tatiana Suarez has some really good wins over the top fighters at this point in that division, Montana De La Rosa is kind of losing to that next step up. So I'm going to go Tatiana Suarez here by, let's go I'll go submission in the first round for Tatiana Suarez. I think she finishes as fast, kind of picks up where she left off, and I think we'll start to be looking at her as a series contender in this division. So I'm going to go Tatiana Suarez by I'll go submission on the ground on the first round. I think she does get the finish in the first, though, for sure. Up the card, we have Augusto Sakai versus Dontel May. Sakai 15-5. 31 years of age, 77 inches of reach. Mays 9-4, 31 years of age, 81 inches of reach. Mays will have a 4-inch reach advantage. I am going to go against the consensus here. We got 35% for Mays and 65% for Sakai. I'm going to go Dontel Mays. I believe he is an underdog for this matchup. So I got an underdog. I'm ready for this one. Augusto Sakai kind of had like a bad run of luck. I believe he was in like the top 10 before fighting Alistair Overeem KO, before losing to Jairzinho Rosenstrike by KO, lost to Tai Tuivasa by KO, and then got KO'd by Sergey Spivak. Not obviously not as brutal as these, but Sergey Spivak kind of just pounded him against the ground. And did a really good job there out wrestling him. For Dontel Mays, his last fight is now a no contest, I believe, against Hamdi Abdel Wahab, because I believe Hamdi did test positive for something, some kind of substance. Beat Josh Parisian by KO in the crucifix position, and then beat Roque Martinez. So has wins over Rodrigo Nascimento, lost to Cyril Gahn. So I'm going to go Dontel Mays. I think he's going to be able to hang in there on the feet with Augusto Sakai, and I think he's going to mix in the takedowns. Augusto Sakai did really good, actually, against the wrestling of Sergey Spivak. He was able to get up from some of those takedowns, and eventually Sergey Spivak had to just pin him against the fence and just unload on him. But I think Dontel Mays will be able to get inside and actually be able to trip Sakai and get him on the ground. I know Josh Parisian is not very good on the ground, especially with the takedown defense. You saw that in the last fight. I think Jamal Pogues was able to take him down and was basically just dumping him over, really. But Augusto Sakai does have good takedown defense, so we'll see how this one goes. But I think Dontel Mays will be able to mix it in. I think he's going to be, it's going to be a little bit more even on the feet than people think. Dontel Mays in his last fight was throwing some weird stuff. Like he's doing like switch kicks and front kicks and everything like that. Like he needs to kind of just chill on the feet a little bit, pick those kind of shots more. But I think he's going to be able to mix it in on Augusto Sakai. Maybe 29-28 decision. Or maybe he figures out something on the ground. But I think I'm going to go 29-28 decision for Dontel Mays. So maybe Augusto Sakai seals around, but I'm going to go Mays here. I'm going to go against what people are saying. I can't imagine. Although these are all very good competition, I still just think Dontel Mays will be able to trip him. Sergey Spivak was able to trip Augusto Sakai. Mays does have some decent trips for heavyweight, so I'm going to go Mays in this one by a decision. Up the card, we have Andre Muniz versus Brendan Allen. Muniz, 23-4, 33 years of age, 76 inches of reach. Allen, 20-5, 27 years of age, 75 inches of reach. Muniz will have a 1-inch reach advantage in this one. Sorry about that, but I think Muniz, although I really like Brendan Allen, I kind of root for him a little bit. He's kind of a fun guy to root for, I guess, if you want to say it that way, but he lost to Chris Curtis and is now on a 3-fight winning streak, although it is Sam Alvey. Jacob Malkoon's not bad. He actually did solid in that fight. And then submitted Christoph Jocko. Andre Muniz is looking really good. He's really good on the ground. Probably one of the best wrestlers, if not, I can't say at this point, but one of the best grapplers in that division. I won't say wrestler, but best grappler in that division for right now, at least from what we know, because I don't know how the parts are moving at the middleweight division yet. So he's one of the best grapplers in the middleweight division for sure. I think he's just going to be able to have his way on the ground. I think Brendan Allen will probably be better on the feet here, but I'm going to go Muniz on the ground. He is number 10 ranked, at least according to Tapology. I don't know how accurate this stuff is, but if Brendan Allen maybe finds a way to win this, which I don't think will happen, he can get inside a good ranking here. But Andre Muniz is fighting number 10, number 18. So I'm going to go Muniz here. I'm just a minus 190 favorite, which is pretty interesting, but I think Muniz is just going to be way better on the ground. And I think he's going to win by a decision. I don't know if he gets the submission here. He couldn't get the submission against Uriah Hall, but I think he's going to be able to grind out Brendan Allen on the ground. But Brendan Allen maybe has a decent chance here, but I think Muniz eventually gets it to the ground. So I got Muniz by a decision in this matchup. Up the card, we have Nikita Krylov versus Ryan Spann. Krylov, 29-9, 30 years of age, 77.5 inches of reach. Spann, 21-7, 31 years of age, and 81.5 inches of reach. Spann will have a 4-inch reach advantage in this one. I am going to go with Nikita Krylov. I kind of settled on him here. I think he's actually pretty solid on the feet. He actually showed that pretty well against Volkan Ozdemir. Did get hurt early on, but was able to figure it out, regroup. Was able to mix stuff in, actually hurt Volkan Ozdemir in that matchup, destroyed Alexander Gustafsson, which was a little rough to watch, was beating Paul Craig till he wasn't, basically how any of Paul Craig's matchups are, and then lost to Magomed Ankalaev, and then beat Johnny Walker. For Ryan Spann, he just knocked out Dominic Reyes, which I don't know how to take that at this point. I guess we got to see what Reyes' next matchup will be, sadly, because I think he'll probably get KO'd again, but Ian Cutelaba is an iffy win at this point. Cutelaba just hit and miss. Anthony Smith, he lost by a rear naked choke there. Beat Misha Serkinov by KO, and then lost to Johnny Walker by KO. So I think Nikita Krylov is going to be able to hang in there on the feet. I think he's going to be able to avoid some of the more powerful shots from Ryan Spann. I do think Nikita Krylov definitely has like more of a better technical way on the feet with some of his kicks and things like that. But for Ryan Spann, I think he just has more power, and I think that'll be a big threat here. Ryan Spann normally relies on his wrestling and things like that for his game in general. So like he'll when he's not winning on the feet, he tries to go for a takedown. I don't think that'll happen on Krylov. I think Krylov will be able to mix it in well, have a really big output on the feet against Ryan Spann, and finish him off in like I'll say the second round by submission. I don't think Spann knocks him out. I don't think he ends up knocking him out. Maybe he hurts him at some point because Spann does have quite a bit of power, and I don't think he just now started training. I think that's ridiculous. For Spann, he didn't just start training. Let's be real. I think Krylov will finish him on the ground, submit him probably by. I'll go by. I don't think it'll go to a decision. This is a 5-round fight, so I think someone ends up with a finish at this point in this matchup. I think we'll see a rear naked choke finish for Nikita Krylov in this matchup. Second round, rear naked choke finish for Nikita Krylov over Ryan Spann. I don't think the power will affect Krylov too much. I think he does get hurt, but I think he'll be able to tough it out. Mix in the takedowns and his stand-up, and kind of overwhelm Ryan Spann a little bit and then figure it out. So I got Nikita Krylov by submission in the second round. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you want to, you can join the Tapology Pick'em group. If we get more people in there, I'll start posting more in there, but you don't have to. It kind of keeps track of your picks for this year if you're making your own picks. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys